All righty. I mean, I tell you what, preaching just always takes it out of me.
Yeah.
I was like ready for a nap.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Playing, same thing.
If you, the person who normally does like the video stuff, he is, he's like a fireman, so he's here every other week.
Yeah, I know the
so
feeling.
there was no one to do the, that man messed me up. The person who normally does. So yeah, there was no one to do the YouTube, so it's just the Facebook Live. So the audio isn't the greatest because it's an iPad in the back of the auditorium.
Oh wow! There's not a camera or anything, just an iPad pointed in that direction.
Right, because there's a camera there as well, but the camera feeds into a box in like our little video room, and no one was there to operate it. So
that's actually fairly impressive that you can do that with an iPad.
Yeah. So I found a website that lets you download the Facebook feed, and I stuck it in my Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to listen, preaching starts at about 30 minutes and it goes about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But like I say, you would want to like kind of crank the volume up, or maybe it would be better with headphones. I don't know. So.
All right. Go ahead and begin your local recording.
All right. Thrashing the SSD.
You really have an SSD?
Yeah. I upgraded to it.
Yeah. So all of my stuff at home has SSDs. Even my oldest laptops I've upgraded to this point. And then I go to work where they have 5,200 RPM machine, and it's like, oh, I'm dying here.
52?
Yeah, I don't know.
72 is the standard for desktop.
No, that's if you pay extra. 54, isn't that the one below 72?
For laptops, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you working on laptops?
Those little mini Dell things, which are just laptops in a bigger case.
Those. Yeah, I don't know if they have 72.
They may have 72. It's possible, but they sure. But between that and all the multi-layer antivirus thing, it's just super slow to do anything.
So it's a 3050, one of those little micro devices?
I don't know. It's 18 inches by 12 inches.
Okay. Oh no, that's not the micro.
It's got a real power supply in it.
They have one that has I don't know. It's about like your little Nook computing device size.
Which is laptop guts. Absolutely.
Right. But, if you could ever get them to like do Dell Support Assist and update the BIOS on that, you would notice an improvement. Because when we do quarterly maintenance for our clients, and whenever somebody comes, the doctor's laptop is slow, because he bought it 10 years ago and it's too cheap to upgrade. So, okay, Dell Support Assist. Run the BIOS update, let it reboot, CC cleaner, all that kind of junk.
So if you're listening to this on YouTube, Seth is speaking hypothetically. There are no actual doctors who are in that situation. This is purely a fictional discussion. Any resemblance to actual people is wholly unintentional.
Yeah, nobody. Come on. Who listens to us?
Well, about 5,000 people last I checked.
Yeah, but that's the downloads, right? We haven't started the show yet, so.
That's a good point.
It's just on the YouTubes.
All right. I am ready when you are, I suppose. Any questions, comments, snide remarks?
No. I think we gotta. I mean, I think we can disagree enough here, even if we have to just do it for devil's advocate. I think we can make a show.
And all right. Oh yeah, timers. That's what I didn't do. I'm not gonna do the big multi-segment timer because we don't really have any segments. We have the intro and then the rest of the show. So I'm just gonna start a stopwatch here. And make a marker here. Say, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Rant, episode 354. No solutions, just problems. Recorded March 24th, 2019, and brought to you by Element OP Productions. ElementOP.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Drive Time Radio for Geeks. I'm your host, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel. And joining me this week, almost as always, it's half the dream team is here. Miles is off, as he said last week, watching NASCAR, I believe it is, or Formula One, some people going fast and turning left. But Seth is here with me, the Gooey Kid Anderson. Hey, Seth, how you doing?
Hey, Mark, and welcome to all the fine opiates. We crammed in an extra show just for y'all.
Yeah, so we had said last week that we weren't doing a show this week because Miles was out and I was out. Turns out I'm actually out next week. So this is, you could call it a bonus show because we weren't expecting it. But next week will be the missing show because we have bought my family tickets to go see an illusionist. So we're going to go see a magic act.
Cool. So next week's show tonight.
Yes, that's a John Oliver thing, isn't it? Maybe. So I just want to jump straight into, I took my wife to see Captain Marvel this weekend because she didn't see it last week when I took the kids, and she wanted to see it. And this time we went and saw it in IMAX instead of at the rather smallish theater we went to the first time. I got to say there was no added benefit of IMAX. There's nothing so stunningly visual that you have to see it in IMAX. The experience wasn't better. And in fact, now that I know the one plot twist was actually pretty boring, I found myself trying to stay awake seeing Captain Marvel the second time. So, I gave it like a 6.5 last week. I may have to downgrade that to a 5.5 because I could barely even stay awake during it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's with the like Iron Man 2 and 3 for me. So bottom of the barrel Marvel movies, which aren't bad movies. They're just okay. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the worst Marvel movie so far is a fine movie. It's way better than Aquaman, for example. The worst Marvel movie ever made is way better than Aquaman. I saw that this week. It was released on digital, so we bought it on Google Play and watched it because my middle child is all into all things superheroes. And it was so bad that we were actually Mystery Science Theatering it during the show. Like my wife and my 2 daughters and I, third daughter was completely uninterested, even in seeing Jason Momoa without a shirt on. We're actually commenting on the show about how terribly bad it was during the show. It's like at some point we're like, I paused it because the dog started going crazy, or I don't know, something, that happens in your life. And, when we paused it, it said like 71 minutes remaining. And we were all like, 71 more minutes? Really? Oh, so hated Aquaman.
Man, okay. I so enjoyed Aquaman. I thought it was the best DC movie in their little universe. I thought it was
better
the best
than Batman?
One. Batman Superman one?
No, the first series of Batman Dark Knight, not the Batman, but the Dark Knight series.
Okay, well that's not in the DCEU. Okay. That was. And okay, the first one was okay, but for me, that Batman trilogy quality and viewability stacks right up there with like the Matrix trilogy. Yeah. So good, mediocre crap. So
no, see, I think it's the second one with Heath Ledger was amazing.
Well, okay, yeah, Heath Ledger was amazing. Okay, yeah. So yeah, but the third one was so bad it tarnishes the second one. So
now I actually liked, and I've defended it before on this show, Man of Steel. I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I've rewatched it over and over because it's a unique telling of Superman as a first contact story.
Right.
That I enjoyed. The others, Justice League was so bad. Batman versus Superman, just slightly better. But Aquaman, I just couldn't find anything to like about it. It was confusing. It was hard to follow. The script was, when it wasn't bland, it was confusing. How many times can a conversation be interrupted by an explosion? No less than 4 times in this movie was a conversation interrupted by an explosion. I mean, that's a gag you use once, not 4 times in 2 hours.
Like I say, I enjoyed the movie.
All right. So, Jason Momoa is compelling and charismatic, and he was the best thing in a bad movie.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. So,
and I have just lost Seth. So we'll pause while Seth reconnects and we find out what he has to say. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is the exciting part of the show. While he's not here to defend it, let me just go on to continue to bash Aquaman. You came back too soon. I had just said, while he's not here to defend it, I'll continue to bash Aquaman, but then you came back.
That's why I knew I got to get back where he's going to tarnish Amber Heard's Mira before I can defend her. Oh,
thank you for reminding me. I did want to say, I had so praised the digital de-aging in Captain Marvel. Again, in IMAX on the 40-foot screen, still almost imperceptible. Compare that to the digital de-aging in Aquaman. The first actor, the Aquaman's dad, I remember saying, I said to my kids, I don't know what this guy's face is supposed to look like. I don't know who he is. I went later, and later when they showed him, normal age, like, oh, that guy. He's that guy. He's one of those guys that you know when you see him. But I said, I don't know what this guy's supposed to look like, but he looks like a Muppet. He doesn't even look human the way they've digitally de-aged him. It was so terrible.
Okay.
Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know.
It's freaking Muppet.
I will have, like I say, I would have to watch it again.
All right.
So it was a couple months ago when I saw it. I've slept since then. I was forever taken by Amber Heard. So she's my top superhero babe now.
All right. Well, and maybe Pretty Redhead is all you need, and that's okay. That's a good show title. Pretty Redhead is all you need. So you started watching on Amazon something. So we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in just a minute. But just tell me, what do you think of Jack Ryan on Amazon?
Well, I've only seen the first show.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna be good. There was a lot of action. You get his kind of backstory. Of course, the original Jack Ryan novels came out in like the 80s, so they have to update it now. But they did, like, there's some really cool scenes. Like there's this one scene where it shows his back, and his back is all scarred and beat up and stuff. And then another scene where his supervisor's reading his file, and he was like a Marine or something, and it was like all redacted. He's like, holy crap, maybe I should pay attention to this guy. And so it was kind of cool how they used just a couple of shots to convey a lot of backstory, but I'm really looking forward to it. There was a lot of action. There's some setups. Some of the plot devices, you're like, oh, okay, that, I see what they're about to do. And then they did it. And now they kind of set up the antagonist, and I'm waiting for the rest of the series. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So cheesy plot device number 17 right there.
Right. Yeah. And it's coming, like, into the film. You're like, oh, okay. And it works. And, other than, like I say, overall kind of enjoyable. I was surprised, like, the action scenes, because they look blockbuster movie level. Okay. So, a lot of times if you compare a movie battle scene versus a television battle scene, the television isn't, there's not as many explosions, there's not as many people, it's from a much further distance, so you don't get the detail. You could show that on the big screen, and I think it would hold up. So they put some money in it.
I am not a Jack Ryan fan. I'm not a Tom Clancy fan.
Right.
I loved Hunt for Red October. One of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. But Jack Ryan was the most boring character in that movie. And I've seen the others, the Harrison Ford versions and whatever, and I was just never taken by it. So I haven't really been super interested in this. But I'm willing to give it a try. Maybe updating it is what it needs.
Yeah, well, and Miles really liked it. He talked about it a few weeks ago. So, and obviously it was like, Miles liked this. Let me give it a shot. And so I think I'm actually going to get to episode 2 tonight. Right.
So without Miles here, and without a real sort of strong impetus to do a specific type show, I just want to talk about, and Seth and I have known each other for 30 plus years. And
wow.
hundreds of times in those years, we have sat around a living room or a dorm room or a restaurant table and had
or a workroom
or when we were supposed to be working and had conversations about, just the problems of the world and if we were in charge. And that's the title of this one, No Solutions, Just Problems. We're not going to have time to get any solutions right now, but we're going to talk about a couple of problems. And one of the ones that has bothered me, and you've heard me sit behind this microphone and decry dozens of times, the terrible, horrible, laughable state of what we call journalism in our country today. And I've never been one of those, let's go back to where we were, things used to be better and they can be better. I'm not a make America great again kind of guy. But I will say that we used to have better journalism than we have today. And it's just I don't know why it's so terrible. But Destin, I can't remember his last name, the guy from the Smarter Everyday channel I subscribe to, he had a video this week, and I'll link to it in the show notes, called Why Your Newsfeed Sucks. I encourage you to check that out. It's a fairly in-depth, I think it's about 14 minutes, a video talking about just what modern, particularly online journalism. And there's a line in there that he's talking with an expert in media that really got me to thinking about sort of the crux of why online journalism is so terrible. And so I'm just going to talk about my thoughts there, and then Seth will rebut or agree, and then we'll see what happens from there. But in anything, how many times over the last couple of years have I used the phrase "pay for what you like"? Because if you don't pay for it, it goes away. Or it changes into something that will get paid for. And we live in a culture where nobody wants to pay for anything. And I do believe that is unique in history. I mean, at least in my armchair historian, I can't read of a time, maybe they just didn't record it, where everyone expected everything to be free, to be given to them, that work is somehow ignoble, that working is a bad thing to do. Even in the kings and the patriarchs and the oligarchs, other people worked, and work was expected of them. In a modern America, nobody is expected to work. Work is an evil thing, an ignoble thing. If you are a laborer, you're somehow sullied or dirty. I'm over-exaggerating just to make my point. And then there's the paying for things. Nobody wants to pay for anything. I mean, Bernie Sanders made a pretty serious run for president based on you won't have to pay for anything ever. Of course, what he didn't tell you is that you will pay for everything, right? The government will pay for it. Well, where does the government get their money? You. Therefore, you are paying for everything. But the message was free everything. Free college, free everything, free healthcare. And so pay for what you like has been my mantra over the years to get people to it's my little way to try to help people understand that you are responsible to husband, to take care of, to manage the things you like. And one way to do that is to pay the people who do the things you like. We just talked about, Captain Marvel and Aquaman for about 9 minutes. Those things exist because lots and lots of people like it, and they pay for it. And Aquaman was terrible, but there will be a sequel because lots and lots of people paid for it. Pay for what you like. I didn't like it, and I still paid for it, right? But we still have this thing of we don't want to pay for things that don't seem to bring us joy, right? We'll pay for entertainment, we'll pay for an experience, but something like healthcare, education, we don't want to pay for that. Journalism, we sure as hell don't want to pay for that. And so the modern model for online journalism, we'll stay away from television and radio for now. But online journalism is the click, the pay-per-click. So there's an ad on the page, and they get paid per impression. So every person that goes to that page earns them some fraction of a penny. That's it. It's all about the click. Once you get to that page, they're done. There is no incentive to give you quality once you get there. The incentive is to give you a headline that's clickbaitable, that you want to click on. That's it. There is no reason there's no reward for quality journalism. The reward is for headline crafting. And so that's why I think journalism sucks today, is because nobody rewards good journalism. There's no money to be made in it. There's no reason to put forth the effort to source your quotes, to properly document your sources, to have a cogent argument from both sides of an issue. There's no reason for that. There's no reward for that. And so what we have today is just crappy clickbait, and it's never going to get any better because there's no incentive for it to get better. Once you've landed on the page, they're done. What do you think, Seth?
Well, I mean, you are totally right. There are several factors that have led up to this. Number one, just the absolute ease of the ability to call something journalism that isn't there. And, part of it I got to call BS, because most of what sullies the news feed and pollutes electrons on today's interwebs is not journalism. It's greed, perverted capitalism under the guise of journalism, where the object isn't to provide information. The object is to inflame people and to make money. I listened to a podcast, a couple of years ago. We did hey, these are the podcasts I listen to, and people reply back with ones they listen to. And so I picked up Soft Rep Radio, and one of the authors on there, and he laments this fact as well. He's like, look, I put weeks of effort over this story, and, I put it in. It's in depth. It's not pulling any punches. It's telling the truth. And there's 500. I get 500 reads. Somebody puts a picture of Kim Kardashian on some random generated text, and there's 10,000 likes in a minute. So it becomes so easy to click something, and we don't want to spend the energy, because we have been taught that the object of life is to take it easy, and you only do as much effort as is required to get you to a place to take it easy. And that's at a job or something, sacrifice for personal gain. Who has time for that? I gotta, and so read a story, think, evaluate, is this truth or is this fiction? Who said this? Ooh, hey, that's something I think I agree with. Click. Well, because I agreed with it once, now all of a sudden here comes a tidal wave. So there's a lot of truth in what you say. Companies, and there are very few news organizations, they are companies trying to make money. And some of the companies that try to make money do that by presenting random facts that they hope people will share. And that's what passes for journalism these days. So the issue is lazy people. And because we're lazy, we aren't going to take the time. We're just going to click what's there. And then, oh, well, hey, how am I supposed to know?
So you bring up an interesting point. The currency today, I said it was the click. I think you're more onto it. The currency isn't the click, it's the share. So let's go back 200 years in this country. It's now 1819, and I'm running a small a newspaper in a western town, right? Let's call it the Desert Gulch Gazette. My goal is to get people to buy the newspaper. So I'm okay with playing fast and loose with the truth. We're out here in the middle of Wyoming, and I can kind of write whatever I want to write, and the local story is king. So I can talk about Mrs. McGillicuddy and how she was seen hanging out with Mr. Johnson far too long after the church social last Sunday, and that gets people to buy it. So my previous is the incentive is to create something that people will read. So we've always had tabloid journalism. We've always had crap stories. We've always had lies in the press because, sadly, lies often sell better than the truth. So when I said that journalism has been better in the past than it is today, it is definitely true that printing of lies for value is a time-honored tradition. As long as there's been the accessible printing press, there has been the practice of printing lies for value. But the value is in the thing that you write. The objective is to get something to write something that people want to read. And interestingly, in that model, sharing is wrong. Sharing is bad. Every time I share a newspaper with somebody, that's a sale I didn't make. And that's where the whole the concept of copyright came from. Sharing is bad. Don't share. Go purchase your own copy. And sometimes, we would do, going back to newspapers, there was the concept of the extra, right? Instead of the daily, here in the middle of the day, it was something so big it can't wait till tomorrow. We'll do an extra. That has been amped up on steroids to the point now that the extra is the story. It's not one story a day. It's not one publication a day. BuzzFeed doesn't write one good, well-crafted article a day. They write dozens of articles an hour, because it's disposable. It's not about the content. It's about the share. So we've switched around now where the share is the thing. So if I can write something, if I can write a headline where people will share it first and read it second, that's the gold mine. And that's what we have. We've created a generation of people who have been programmed to share first and read second, if at all. As long as the headline buttresses what I believe, I will share that sucker. I may never read it.
Right. And the thing is, people, they put more in, there's more effort and more thought and more science and more research goes into the headline of a piece than of the actual piece itself. So I am at my job at work, I'm taking calls. So I am sitting in front of the computer when I'm not on a call and I'm all cut. I can't get around anywhere. I'm just sitting in front of the computer waiting for the phone to ring and for me to pick it up and say, this is Seth, may I help you? And so bring up Yahoo, bring up MSN. And what I'm noticing is I'm seeing the same crap content, but under a different headline.
Yes.
And so, but the headline is designed to make, and then there's a little picture thumbnail that is, it's not the story, but it's close enough to the story that you can't call BS. You can just call B. And so, the issue is, just imagine if the stories, if as much time, energy, effort, science, and research was put into those stories, man, that would be awesome. But instead, it's like, oh, that looks interesting. It's like, oh crap, I've seen this exact same story every day this week, and so it's just awful. And it's awful, and we like it. And the algorithms, I remember I used to love Yahoo, and MSN has a good general picture. This is just your general window into the world. So there's some stuff about, TMZ celebrity fodder, and then there's some stuff about money, and then there's some world news, and then there's some local stuff. And then it was always this thing. And, occasionally I like to read the TMZ headlines. I don't want to see that every day all the time, but once in a while, oh, look, hey, so-and-so, tripped and fell at the airport, and here's a stupid video of it. Okay, that's cool. I got a few seconds to spare. But now, as you click on that, all of a sudden you see one, that same story keep popping back up, and two other things. And now I lose this I like have all these tentacles. I was like, I want a little bit of that and a little bit of that and some of that, and give me a little bit of that. And then I want to turn around and grab this totally random thing over here. But the internet says, oh, you clicked on A, so let me give you AA and AAAAA and AAA. B. You never clicked on B. I'm not even going to offer it to you anymore. And so it's sad.
So last Saturday, we were scrolling through, I believe it was Amazon, actually, Amazon Prime. The family was all gathered around, lazy Saturday. By last Saturday, I mean yesterday. We were gathered around, and I stumbled on The Rifleman, the old Chuck Connors
Yes.
TV show. And I said to my 10-year-old, I used to love this when I was your age. It was a rerun then, but it was on like Channel 27, UHF, out of Dallas. It was on all day, every day on Saturdays and Sundays. They just ran this thing for hours on end. Let's watch a few episodes and see if you like it. And so I dialed it up, and we were watching it, and my wife came in the room and was like, oh, that's Chuck Connors. Did he ever do anything else after this? I said, well, he was in that show called Branded, where it was about a guy who was from the Civil War and was branded as a deserter. And then she said, well, was that before or after this? I said, well, I think I remember that being in color. So I went to the internet. But you know what I did first? First, I opened a Chrome incognito browser, because I don't want to see news feeds for the next 6 months about Chuck Connors and The Rifleman. And that's exactly what will happen. If I do this search on Chuck Connors, and then I start following through thread about that, and I start looking at different things, I know that my newsfeed is going to be polluted with that one search. So I have started using Chrome Incognito or Firefox private browsing, both of those, as defenses to try to keep my newsfeed clean. I shouldn't have to do that, but it is, because there are so few signals to go on that once you give them one, Seth, to your point, once you give them one signal, they will drown you with that one signal. My news feed right now has things in it that I care nothing about because I did a search once. Like I was around Christmas time, I was looking at the new Xiaomi Mi Bands. And now here it is 3 months later. I still every day get at least 2 articles about Xiaomi or about the Mi Band 4. I don't need them. I don't care about them. I bought the thing for my kids. I was done. I was just checking them out. That was it. But this whole ancillary thing of not only is your news crappy, but the news delivery source is geared toward bringing you garbage on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I can't sign in to the browser at work. I mean, I don't want to, because I don't want to see at home feeds for intraoral cameras and x-ray devices and medical practice management software. So I just, have that stuff at work, and this is at home. And if I have to work from home, you bet I am remoting into my system and doing those searches there, because it pollutes it, and you're drowning in this cacophony of crap. I love that phrase when I came up with it. That's my favorite phrase, I think. That it's just, and it's like you're in this room and you say something and it never goes away. It just echoes around and you keep hearing it forever. And you say something else and then they're jumbling in there and hitting, and the original never goes away. It's like a virus. The entire internet is a virus. Maybe, and here's my tinfoil hat, it's aliens who are corrupting the algorithms to drive us insane and make us ready to welcome our alien overlords.
Agent Smith in The Matrix was right. We are the virus. So I'm looking at my Google News feed right now, and it's not even the top story. It's about 8 stories down is an article from the New York Times. It says Mueller finds no Trump-Russia conspiracy but stops short of exonerating president on obstruction. I'm scared to click on that. I may read this article, but I will do it in a private browsing tab, because I know that if I read this, I will get all the pro-Trump conspiracy stuff, or all the my entire newsfeed will be nothing but Trump if I click on this thing right now. I shouldn't be scared to click on a news article. But that's the current state of journalism in the world today. Now, I can almost assure you that this article is going to be a heavy anti-Trump bias, because it's the New York Times, and that has been their consistent position since before Trump was president. Everything they do is anti-Trump. So they're going to hit that but stop short of exonerating. That's going to be 80% of the article. I know that without even reading it. But I do trust the New York Times to at least feed me something that's been somewhat researched. But there aren't many things anymore that I trust as a credible news source.
Yeah, and and even then, how many times have we seen major news publications busted for lack of fact checking? So, it's not about journalistic integrity. It's so you get the headline and you get the clicks, because if you don't, someone else will.
Right.
And
it really is a zero-sum game.
Yeah, whoever got there first won. It's the same reason that people put out crappy IoT things with negative security. You can't even bring them in your home because you've made your home more accessible to, bored Russian teens and the Chinese military state, if you follow those line of thoughts. So you can't, it doesn't matter. Hey, can we take 5 seconds to Google this and see if the names are even spelled right? Nope. Can't do it. Got to publish right now. And you're like, thanks, world.
So, show title, No Solutions, Just Problems. Is there a fix for this?
Hypothetically, yes, but in practice, no. Because the well-informed, disciplined person who takes the time to evaluate, well, one, who knows what logic is and who knows what rational thought is and at least wants to try to do it once in a while. Those are becoming fewer and far between, and they've almost reached mythological status because you can go days or weeks or months without seeing them. So a return to those kind of values would curb this. But again, it's worse than the tyranny of the default. It's just, you can only dig through the crap so much before you give up. And that's kind of what it has degenerated to. And, in the online world, is bad, but you go to cable, quote unquote, news channels and, cable bias, programmers is more of what they are, right wing or left wing. It doesn't matter. It's just, there is a fix, but I am afraid people don't want the cure because it tastes like medicine and it doesn't taste like a candy bar.
Because the answer is personal responsibility, and who wants to hear that message?
Right.
So, which leads me to the second thing I wanted to talk about tonight: personal responsibility in taking care of your own health. I work for a healthcare company. My livelihood is based on making sick people well and helping well people stay well. So understand that going into this, I have a bias. But what got me to thinking about this is my roof on my house is 25 plus years old. We knew when we bought the house 2 years ago, almost 3 now, that it would be time to put a new roof on it soon. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still fine, but it's starting to show its age. Some of the granules are coming off. They're starting to get some holes. We just recently had to patch a leak. It's time. So I have been about the business of getting quotes from people. I want to get several quotes and track down these people, find the good companies, and find somebody who can do it right. And every person I've called so far has assured me that they can get insurance to pay for this roof, that their guy can find evidence of hail damage or whatever, and their guy can work. They have a special relationship with Allstate, my insurance company. They all have a special. That's been a consistent thing, is that they're all special in their relationship with Allstate, and they're convinced that they're going to get Allstate to pay for my roof. I don't want Allstate to pay for my roof. I don't need Allstate to pay for my roof. It's done its job. It's lasted for 25 years. It's just time for a new roof. And I got to thinking about it. What if I called Allstate every time a toilet got backed up? What if I called Allstate every time I wanted to repaint a scratch in the wall? Just last week, I put up some drywall. Let me rephrase that. I paid a guy to put up some drywall where a pipe had burst last year and ruined the wall. And he came in and put up the thing and mudded it, and then I sanded and painted it when he was done. What if I'd filed an insurance claim on that? The living room carpet needs to be replaced. What if I filed an insurance claim on that? That would be ridiculous. And of course, home insurance doesn't work that way. Let's go to auto insurance. What if I filed an insurance claim every time I had an oil change? What if I filed an insurance claim every time I needed to get my tires rotated? What if I filed an insurance claim every time I needed new windshield wipers? The auto industry isn't designed, the auto insurance industry isn't designed around that. And frankly, people would think it's stupid. The insurance agent would look at me like I'm a moron for filing a claim on the 1999 oil change. Healthcare, on the other hand, health insurance is expected to pay for every bit of routine maintenance on your body. You go for an annual physical, file an insurance claim. You get a flu shot, file an insurance claim. My daughter had strep throat this week. She's 10. 10-year-olds get strep throat. It's what happens. What did I do? I filed an insurance claim because that's what you do. And it occurred to me that the problem with our healthcare insurance is that we treat healthcare insurance like no other insurance in the world. It's the only insurance. See, insurance is supposed to protect you against the unexpected. A tree falls on your house, puts a hole in your roof. That's an insurance claim. A pipe bursts and floods your house. That's an insurance claim. A drunk driver plows into you and totals your car. That's an insurance claim. But only in healthcare, and I'm not going to say only in America. It's I think it probably started in Europe and has moved its way here. The idea that routine maintenance on the human body is an insurance claim is the core cause of all of our quote unquote healthcare problems. So when you go to get some roof. Say I get Allstate to pay for my roof. What you want to bet the price is higher when Allstate's paying for it than when I'm paying for it, right? Because they don't have to be competitive then. That's why these guys keep telling me, oh, they can get Allstate to pay for it, because then they know what Allstate's maximum is, and that's how much it costs. If they quote me the Allstate maximum, I'm going to go look somewhere else, and I'm going to keep finding a guy. I'm going to be competitive. I'm going to find somebody who can give me at least a lower price or a better quality product for the price. But if it's insurance, competition's out the window. So all of this broken way that we treat health insurance has created an unrealistic pricing structure. And if we continued to do that on every other thing that we have insurance for, we would see the exact same thing. This was sort of my minor epiphany this morning in the shower.
Okay. So a couple of things. Number one, broad agreement there, but you're looking at this wrong. The insurance company is where the insurance healthcare monopoly machine is where software companies got their idea of a subscription plan, because the insurance companies, they just want your money coming in all the time. And so in order to do that, they have to utilize these services. And two, if you go to get an oil change, you know it's $19.95. And, you know, because you know that going in. If you want get your carpet done, hey, I need a quote for this. You don't get a quote for going to the doctor.
Well,
hey,
but my contention is that's a symptom, not a cause, right? Because we put everything through insurance, competition is out the window and pricing is out the window. We don't know how much it costs to treat you because we haven't had that conversation with your insurance company yet. I think that's a symptom, not a cause.
You know, I mean, no, because they don't tell you how much it is going in.
Because they don't know. They have to ask the insurance company.
No, and then if you say, but what if I pay cash? And then if you pull out green bills, all of a sudden they can knock a lot of crap off and it becomes cheaper than if they file it on the insurance. The thing is, we have accepted, again, this goes back to personal responsibility would cure the problem. Hey, doctor, I'm thinking, you know, my daughter needs her tonsils out. How much does a tonsillectomy cost? Okay, thank you. Hey, Dr. B, how much does it cost for a tonsillectomy? Hey, Dr. C, are y'all having a special on tonsils this week? And if we shopped around for insurance or for health services, the way we shop, you know, we'll spend 100 miles and 4 hours driving all around town, at least before the internet, and you could do it on your phone, going to all these different stores with our coupons to clip and price match guarantees. You know, we'll spend an extra $5 in gas to save 10 cents on that fifth thing of toilet paper. But yet when it comes to healthcare, oh, I got insurance for that. And just here, whatever, you know, and then we don't care because we pay for it up front. So we'll do whatever you want. As you know, you can cut me open and take out my spleen as long as I can watch, you know, cat videos while you're doing it. And I mean, prove me wrong. Hashtag prove me wrong. So
no, but I think we're saying the same thing. I agree that is the problem. But my point is that if we treated all other insurances in the same way we treat health insurance, is that everything was a claim, this exact same thing would be a problem. If nobody thought about how much an oil change cost anymore because insurance is covering it, right? I'll just call Allstate and tell them I had an oil change. And my copay, my deductible on that is $11.50. And doesn't matter where I go. Everywhere I get an oil change, my copay is $11.50. I've met my my auto insurance deductible for the year because I changed my tires. I bought a new set of tires. My deductible's $500, and the new tires were $650. So I paid $500 for the tires. I don't pay anything else for routine maintenance for the rest of the year. I'm going to get new wiper blades every 3 days. I'm going to get an oil change every 600 miles. I'm going to get my upholstery replaced because a kid spilled lipstick on it because I've already met my deductible. It's done. If we treated auto insurance the same way we treat healthcare, the markets would be exactly the same. We have caused this by our misuse of insurance.
Because we wanted it for free. Oh, can I file my insurance on that? Because I already paid for that. And then so, well, yeah, okay. I mean, how much is a doctor's? Well, you get one free doctor's visit. No, you don't. You get an extra $100 taken out of your check. for that doctor's visit. And if you didn't, and hey, let's be honest. I mean, look at me. I'm a fat man who sits in a chair all day. If I ate better and got up and walked around, I mean, accidents would happen, but I bet you it would be better for me if I did that. If I actually ate vegetables instead of paying extra for my I hate vegetable pills, I would probably be healthier and have more money in my pocket, but I'm too lazy to do that. I'll just take a pill for that. So, but at least I pay for that out of pocket. So, I'm not distributing that cost among people. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the personal responsibility card is there because we don't even want to ask. Even before insurance was a big deal, there wasn't a, how much is this going to cost? There's, oh, I need this now. And then, well, once you've done the service, once you've got the service, you're legally required to pay. But if you stop and say, hey, what does this cost? Okay. Maybe I broke my leg and it does need to be set, but an extra hour to find out if it's half the price over there. Yeah. I don't know. I think,
and that is where the model breaks down. And I think it's where the abuse came from. When little Timmy is sick, and let's go back to 1819 and use my same article. I'm in Desert Gulch. All right. My kids got the consumption. I need Doc Brown to come and treat him now, and we'll haggle over price after my child is in good shape. So he's given me the medication I need. He's given me the expertise I need. And now I tell him, look, I got 2 pigs and a chicken. If you can wait till spring when I have 5 pigs, because these 2 pigs are going to get busy, I'll give you 3 of them. And that's how that worked. But yeah, you have to, because medical care is different from everything else in that you often can't wait. You can't save up to pay for antibiotics. It doesn't work that way. So I think that's what led to the abuse, which I go back to the topic, no solutions, just problems. How do you fix that? Because there is a world, it is true that the human body breaks and needs emergent attention. And you can't save up for that. So you can save up for an elective surgery. If I want to get braces, I can save up for that. But I can't save up for CPR. I can't do that. I can't save up for the ambulance ride to the hospital. I can't save up to get my broken leg set and casted. So it is interesting where it is one of the few places where you have to have the service first. You must. It's a requirement in most cases to have the service first and then worry about how to pay for it. So how can we be responsible for something that is so emergent that the normal rules of self-responsibility are often thrown out with the baby? I have no idea why that fell apart. Sorry.
Get an itemized bill and see that they charged you $15 per Band-Aid, and you used one and charged you for a whole box at $300, and you're like, excuse me, here's a box of Band-Aids,
right?
And so. Oh,
but I can't take that. It's been opened. The seal is broken. It's no longer sterile. You can go ahead and take that home with you.
Yeah, here, I'll do Amazon and have it shipped to your loading dock. But so again, personal responsibility, taking control of your life. It's our financial February theme continuing on into its second month. So if we were personally responsible for what we allowed on our computer, and you're taking the step of doing the incognito searches in order to kind of keep your news feed pristine. But again, you're starting to exercise responsibility and you're starting to see fruit of it. If we were responsible in, okay, I'm just going to the doctor's visit and he's going to tell me, to stop eating so much and start moving around some. Okay. That's not an insurance claim.
Right.
But again, who wants to do that? Because we already have it coming out of our check. We might as well get some use for it. Well, that means more comes out of your check, so you demand more use for it. I shouldn't have to pay for aspirin at the drugstore because I have insurance. Exactly. I shouldn't have to pay for toothpaste because I have dental.
So the same thing. It's interesting. In my own family, I have 2 examples that happened just 6 days apart. I fell and broke a rib, and my youngest daughter got a bacterial infection. One of those must be treated. The other one, not. I have not gone to see a doctor about my broken rib. I took the personal responsibility to do the research. I made sure I didn't have a punctured lung. I made sure I wasn't bleeding internally, right? And sure, there are tests that a doctor could have done, but the risk was low for me taking a wait and see approach to that.
Right.
I checked to make sure my stool wasn't black. One of the classic signs of bleeding internally. So there are things I haven't seen a doctor because I know it's a broken rib, right? And experience of people in my life, it was a broken rib, and Google will tell you that the treatment for a broken rib is just wait it out. You're going to hurt for a while, and then you'll feel better, and that's how you treat a broken rib. On the other hand, my daughter, who is never complains about anything, went to the nurse at school on Friday. That immediately says my child is very sick. She had a fever of 102, which is pretty high. So I took her immediately from the school to the doctor's office. So for myself, I have done no medical care. For my doctor, I did immediate medical care, both of which were things that could have been handled very differently. Most people in my situation, when they fell, would have gone immediately to the doctor, had hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars worth of imaging done, x-rays and MRIs, and I'm not faulting the medical profession for doing what they're told to do. If I show up and say I've broken a rib, verify that I don't have a punctured lung, it's their job to do that.
Right.
So a lot of people would have done that. But I didn't. So it's a case of I made an informed decision, and that seems to be the theme of tonight's show. Informed decisions are sort of the magic bullet, but we've lost that skill as a society, as a global society. I'm not even just talking about Americans right now. But it's just interesting in my mind that I had two different scenarios there within a short period of time, both of which required a different thing, right? So if my daughter needed the antibiotics, otherwise, strep throat can kill. Before antibiotics, strep throat did kill. It used to be like a 90% chance you were going to die if you got a strep infection. Now it's you hurt for a couple of days because we have penicillin. Praise God for scientists. But it's two different things there, that both of which could have resulted in pretty tremendous effects had they, been taken to their extreme. And so one case, insurance, in both cases, I should say, insurance was not necessary. I used my insurance at the doctor's office, but I shouldn't have. I should have just paid cash for the little strep test, and I should have gone to the pharmacy and paid cash for the antibiotic. But to the point you made earlier, both of those things would have been 5 to 10 times more expensive had I not used insurance, because insurance has created a false economy where competition doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard. Well, but with the internet, you're kind of getting it back because you can get the prescription there, or you can do the thing online to bypass them. Or, if you're independently wealthy like Miles, you can take a trip down to Mexico and get your prescription. So we want the convenience, and, convenience has really given rise. You're paying for that. You're paying extra for convenience, and you always will. And as long as it's a convenient thing to have this money taken out of my check every week, it's the same reason why everybody buys more phone than they need, because, it's just an extra $20 a month and I get a new phone every year for free. No, you're paying for that phone every month, and fun times.
Yeah. So pay for what you like. Personal responsibility. Those are the solutions to all the world's problems. Aren't they really? Yep. They pretty much are. Be responsible for your own actions and pay for what you like, and you'll change the world.
I think so.
That's it. We actually did have a solution. We said there were no solutions, but we just came up with it. Be a responsible adult.
Ours is a hypothetical solution that on some other planet could possibly work, but I don't know if we have the functioning brain mass to implement that in our society anymore.
That's an interesting point. Has humanity changed to the point where it is no longer possible to be a responsible human being anymore? Have we bred that gene out of us ourselves?
And it's what you said in jest. I've surrendered my higher brain function to Google. What you used to say in jest has been proven to be, you were a prophet and you didn't know it.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing me down. I thought we were feeling pretty positive toward the end of this thing.
Just trying to save the show title.
Yeah. So these are the kinds of conversations where people used to tell me you should have a podcast, because you have these conversations with Seth and with Sean and with all the people in my real life, and so we started a podcast and nobody cared. It was amazing. So Seth, what do you have what happened this week in history?
All right. Well, this one is just kind of short and sweet. Mark, I don't know if you realize this, but back on March the 22nd, 1993, Intel begins shipping the Pentium chip. And the great thing about this is without this happening, there would not be a Weird Al song called All About the Pentiums.
And the Blue Man Group nobody would have ever heard of them.
Right.
Yeah. So the Pentium, the name 5, it's the 586. So before that, it was the 286, 386, 486. Now the 586 chip. And the Pentium branding was so strong that we kept the Pentium through the 686, 786, 886, 986. We're at like 1486 now. And we finally moved to the I series, the i3, i5, i7. And then that's what I think I heard actually a mention the other day of an i9.
i9s.
Yeah,
yep.
That's a new thing. But Pentium was a brand that lasted for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
In the tech world. Think about that. In the tech world, it lasted 20 years. Wow.
It's all about the Pentium, baby.
It really is. And now what do you have to end our show in style?
All right. So this was a website I stumbled across. It's called The Worst Thing for Sale at theworstthingforsale.com. And so on a date, it gives you the worst thing that is for sale on the internet. So like for today, the potato buds that broke them. So Betty Crocker potato buds, you click on that, it'll take you to Amazon, and then you can find the reviews. Usually the reviews for things that make this site are pretty bad. But anyway, and who knows, maybe you disagree. You can go to the worst thing for sale and then buy it and see if it actually truly was the worst thing for sale. And I think there's like a random generator, because when I clicked on this before, I had a different product. So you can go back in days and look at different days, but it is the worst thing for sale. It's just an entry. I'm trying to clear the palette so I can come up with some genius things later.
The Martin Luther King loofah. I have a queen. Oh, wow.
You can buy they offer a pound of fat, and it's not actual fat, but it's what it would look like. But then people who weighed it was mad that it was only 14 ounces. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
One of the doctor's offices that I work at has one of those sitting on the counter. This is a pound of fake fat. And I think, and it's made to look ugly and nasty and bulbous. You know what else is a pound of fat? Butter. A box of butter. That's a pound of fat. But it's not nearly as gross looking. And in fact, it's kind of tasty looking. And you think, ooh, I want that. And then you end up not losing the pound of ugly fat.
Right. You multiply.
All right. So this is the part of the show where I tell you how you can feed back to us. Tell us what's on your mind. You can go to elementop.com, click the Contact Us button at the top of the page, answer the world's hardest CAPTCHA, fill out the form there that will send an email directly to my inbox. And I will read that before I read anybody else's email. You get top priority, you, the listener, to this show. Jinda, thanks for coming and hanging out for most of the show that wasn't supposed to be. We appreciate that. If you want to be as cool as Jinda, you can join us each week live in our chat room and watch us live on the YouTubes at elementop.com/live. If I say the word live often enough, you'll get that live is when you can go to elementop.com/live and watch the live show. We appreciate that. Let us know what's on your mind. You can do it live, like Jinda did at elementop.com/live, or you can do it through the Contact Us button at elementop.com. Let us know what you think. So we gave you two things here that are sort of big problems facing the world today. What do you think? Are you one who thinks that personal responsibility is overrated? Probably not listening to the show if you're one of those. Are you one of those who think that we have lost that battle? I mean, is it the children of the millennials who are going to have to clean up this mess? Because Xers raised the millennials badly, and it's going to have to be their children. Turns out millennials, as they get older, are becoming some of the most sensible people on the planet. It's interesting to read some of the statistics about they're much more sensible about debt. They're much more aggressive about savings. They drink less because they live in a world of constant media, and they don't want their drunken antics to be recorded. That was a new. I didn't read the article. I just read the headline. I liked it, so I shared it. But I haven't read the article that I saw this week. But interesting. It may be interesting to see that it may be the children of the millennials that have to clean up this mess because the children of the boomers didn't do it right. So anyway, what do you think? elementop.com. Let us know. You can send an email to geekrant@elementop.com, or you can dial 559-IMOP and leave us a voicemail, and we'll probably play it right here on the show because, let's face it, we're desperate. We haven't had one in a year or more. So check us out. That's all I got to say about that. If you want to throw money at us, pay for what you like, people. Do you like this show? Throw me a buck or two. I always feel a little dirty doing this part of the show. Like I'm begging. Like I'm some sort of street busker with my guitar case open and singing La Bamba on the subway sidewalk. But the fact is, this show cost me money. Every year, and this time of year, I'm very sensitive to it because I just paid for domain renewals and web hosting. This show costs me money every year. It's not a ton of money, but it costs me money. Do you like it? Do you want to see it continue? The only way this show is going to continue is if you pay enough that it doesn't cost me money anymore. So far, I've been break even every year. I've even made money a couple of years. I think last year, what was it, Seth? I made about $200. I split it between you and Miles. I think I sent you each a Big Mac. Congratulations to that. But anyway, pay for what you like. And I hope you like the show. Pay for it. Pay it forward at the very least. The share is powerful in today's economy.
Yeah, we want to be shared first so we can win, whatever that means.
That's right. Yeah, if you share us, an angel gets its wings. Something like that. I read it on the internet, so it has to be true. Anyway. Thanks for listening, Seth. Thanks for coming and doing the show that wasn't supposed to be. I will not be here next week, so our first show will be the second week of April. The next week is my birthday, by the way. If you want to throw a little extra money as a result of that, you're welcome to do that. But we'll see you on, I guess, the, pull up my calendar here, 7th is the next time we will grace each other's electrons. Listening audience, thanks for hanging out. Jenda, thanks for being in the chat room. And we'll see you next time, because that's it for this episode of the Geek Rant. And remember, pay for what you like.
Toodaloo.
And be personally responsible. All right. I got nothing else to say, YouTube. Peace out. Yo.
Okay. Export.